Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the Adidas Tubular X. These guys have a retail price of $120 US. They're available in tons of different colorways, some of which are on sale as well. So if you are interested in a pair of these, there will be a buy it now link in the description of this video. Go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. All right, so here is a look at the shoes, the Adidas Tubular X, which has been kind of a low profile, ultra popular shoe. And the reason why I say that is because if you go to any store that has a good variety of these, they normally don't have sizes, at least based on my experience. And if you look online, a lot of the kind of, I guess, nicer colorways, for lack of a better term, they tend to be sold out in the good sizes. So the reason why I say it's low profile is because they seem to be sold out everywhere, but I've never actually seen anybody wearing a pair of these in public. So somebody's buying them. I'm not sure who's actually wearing them, but this is one of those shoes that I've had my eye on for quite some time now. The reason why I haven't bought a pair up until this point is because with a lot of Adidas models, what's often the case is that they don't sell out. So you can wait a little bit, wait a couple of months, sometimes even sooner than that, and just pick them up when they go on sale. But I decided to stop waiting because any of the colorways that did go on sale, I wasn't a huge fan of. So I ended up paying full retail for this particular colorway, which is what they've classified as hemp. It's kind of just like a tan color with lots of different materials that I guess all are technically different colors, but they're all listed as hemp. It's just because you have different materials and different textures that they end up looking a little bit different. But I dig that kind of all single tone look across the entire shoe. It just looks really, really clean on this particular model. So if you haven't seen a pair of these in person, couple misconceptions because the pictures can be deceiving. The pictures make this look, I guess, a little bit more streamlined than it actually is. In person, it's actually pretty clunky and surprisingly heavy. I know that the regular tubulars are relatively lightweight. It's almost kind of like an Adidas version of a Roshi run, if you will. This is not like that. This has solid foam for the front half of the outsole, whereas the back half of the outsole, it's kind of hard to see because the color matches pretty well, is basically solid rubber. So this is really, really heavy. All the weight is in the heel of this shoe, and the upper itself is relatively clunky as well. It comes up higher than I was anticipating because I never really tried a pair of these on before. They're not exactly readily available in Canada. You kind of have to go to the US to find these, at least in the area that I live. But it's, like I said, a surprisingly bulky shoe, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think it's really, really good looking. But nonetheless, it's a really, really interesting design. I know part of the reason why this is popular is because the outsole and general look of the shoe is kind of Kanye West influenced, I guess, to a certain extent. The Yeezy shoes from Adidas, which I do not have, by the way. A lot of people seem to be asking me about those. Will I be getting a pair in? The answer to that question is I would love to if I could get them at retail or anywhere near the retail price, but to pay $600, $700, $800 for a pair on the resale market, just not something that I'm interested in doing. I like the shoes, but I'm not paying $1,000 for them. It's just not going to happen. So this is obviously a cheaper alternative, which is why I think it has become a little bit more popular. This particular colorway I really like just because it does incorporate the suede. I like the addition of a natural material as opposed to just being kind of this canvas material with some fuse on top, which is what you see with a lot of the colorways. There is also a prime knit variation of this shoe that does come at a bit of a premium, and those are like $160 retail. These ones are $120. Some of the colorways are $130. It all just depends, but I really like the addition of the suede here going around the toe, as well as a little bit of suede at the heel with the pull tab. You have the embossed Adidas logo, which is really, really nice. This part right here where you have this kind of X, this is, while hemp in color, actually 3M reflective. So that's kind of a cool little feature that didn't necessarily expect until I actually got the shoes in my hands and was able to see that it is actually reflective material in person. Comes with rope laces that are kind of twisted up, if I'm completely honest. They're not in amazing condition, given that these are technically brand new. I purchased them online. You have the Adidas branding right here on the front, and then it has this kind of almost neoprene elasticated enclosure system for your foot. So the tongue doesn't actually open up. You don't even have to tie the laces tight. They don't really do all that much unless you really, really pull on them, just because it is such a high volume fit. But really, really interesting shoe. Just clunkier than I was expecting, but still a shoe that I really, really like. I'm glad I finally picked up a pair, and hopefully they'll get less popular in the near future because I'd like to pick up more colorways, but again, I don't necessarily want to pay the full retail price. $120, not necessarily overly expensive, but I don't know, I'm just somebody who likes to pick up shoes on sale, so whenever that's possible, I will do that. So that's pretty much it as far as just a close-up detailed look of everything here. Really nice shoe, a lot different in person than the online pictures might kind of give you the impression of, but overall, I don't have really any complaints. It's better quality than I was expecting, just a little bit clunkier, but let me know your thoughts on it down below in the comment section. With that being said, let's move on to the on-feet portion of the video so we can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit and of course how they look on feet. All right, so here is a look at the shoes on feet. This is a shoe that I purchased mainly because I liked how it looked, and I purchased them online prior to ever trying them on. Now that I actually have them in my hand, I still like how they look, but trying them on, they don't really feel like sneakers. They definitely come across more as boots to me for a couple different reasons. First reason is, like I mentioned earlier, they're pretty heavy. Like these have some significant weight to them, especially in the heel, being that it's pretty much solid rubber. The second reason is how they fit. This is not a kind of tighter fitting shoe. It's a pretty chunky, pretty high volume fit. I actually went down a half size, which is what was recommended to me. The Tubulars run a half size big as well, so I went with a half size down in the Tubular X, a size 9 US, as opposed to my usual size 9.5. And even going down a half size, the toe box, the forefoot area, the heel, the midfoot, everything. It's just a very, very kind of high volume shoe. Sure, you can tie the laces tighter and kind of help to snug things up a little bit, but I think that would just look weird with this particular shoe. It's almost one of those shoes that needs to be unlaced to look right, at least in my opinion, but this is a pair of shoes that I think I'm just going to wear for the winter and then pretty much put away for the summer, just because it's not really a summer shoe. It's very heavy. It's very, very clunky. I guess the materials on this particular colorway don't necessarily make it all that well suited for summer or just, I guess, warmer weather in general. But I think as a winter boot that looks more like a sneaker than a boot, this is definitely going to, I guess, fill that void to a certain extent. I still really like them, don't get me wrong, but they definitely weren't what I was expecting just after having the opportunity to actually try them on. The other thing to note in regards to this particular shoe is the general comfort level. They're not overly cushioned, they're pretty firm, and again, it kind of just makes it feel more like a winter boot as opposed to an actual pair of sneakers. So I still like them. They're really, really nice looking, but definitely not what I was expecting from this particular shoe. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the Adidas Tubular X sneakers. Again, if you are interested in a pair of these for yourself, there will be a buy it now link in the description of this video. Go ahead and check that out if you are at all interested. If you have any questions at all regarding the Tubular X, leave those questions down below in the comment section and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you have any suggestions for other sneakers you'd perhaps like to see featured on the channel as well, leave those down below in the comments and I'll take a look at everything you guys have to say. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for more sneaker videos, of course. All my social media information is linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.